Hey folks, it's Ashley here. So I'd just like to do a quick video. I plan to do a series of these where I expose one by one the hypocrisy surrounding what the Jews claim was done to them, what they would later do to the Palestinian people. Now this is just one example. I have many, but like I said, I want to dedicate each video to each unique case. Now we're all familiar with Judenfrei, which I'm going to read you what it says here about this. So the Nazi terms Judenfrei and Judenrein meant clean of Jews, designated an area that was cleansed of Jews during the Holocaust, while Judenfrei referred merely to freeing an area of all of its Jewish inhabitants, which is interesting. The term Judenfrei, literally clean of Jews, was also used. This has the stronger connotation that any trace of Jewish blood had been removed as an impurity. Okay. Let's just read on. In the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, a fear among many Israelis, which has been reflected by Israeli government officials such as Benjamin Netanyahu, is that the proposed removal of Israeli Jewish settlements in the West Bank, according to the wishes of Palestinian officials, is tantamount to rendering these areas Judenfrei or clean of Jews. Do you see how they're drawing a parallel? Because they're trying to use a so-called Holocaust to justify their illegal settlements and ethnic cleansing of the Palestinian people. And it goes on and on and on. It's absolutely disgusting. It makes me mad. And it says here that in a discussion with the German Foreign Minister Frank-Walter Steinmeier, is reported to have said, using the Israeli terms of the area, Judea and Samaria cannot be Judenrein. Blah, blah, blah. First mayor of Lot, after it was resettled by Israelis. That sounds like Lot's ghetto, doesn't it? That's insane. They're literally naming these places in Israel, aka Palestine, after the places in which they inhabited and occupied during World War II. If you don't believe me, you got Lot in Tel Aviv, and then you got Lot's ghetto right here. Okay? Right? I'm not pulling this out of my ass, okay? You'll find a lot of this, actually. But yeah, it said that Lot was transformed from a neglected Arab town that was Judenrein to a Hebraic city. Do you see? How Judenfrei probably meant that the whole entire time. But they're spinning it to play the victim. Now, if that isn't just totally mind-boggling for you and blowing your mind like it did mine, how the Jews will always spin these terms, check this out. So, of course, the Jews are doing to the Palestinians what they claim was done to them, and I actually screenshot a few examples of this. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the Transfer Committee. Okay? But it was involved in some heinous developments, I'll say that. Now, let me just read you a bit of what it says. Oh, wrong one, sorry. Okay, so let me just read you one moment. The Transfer Committee was set up unofficially by non-cabinet members of the first government of Israel in May 1948, with the aim of overseeing the expulsion of Palestinian Arabs from their towns and villages and preventing their return. These are Holocaust survivors, by the way. Yeah, this is what they couldn't wait to do. Yeah. The extent to which the committee acted with the knowledge of the Prime Minister and the Cabinet is a matter of scholarly debate. Yeah, of course it is, right? But we know exactly that the Prime Ministers of Israel knew full well what was going on here, and none of them are innocent. The idea of the committee came from Joseph Weitz, the director of the Land and Afforestation Department of the Jewish National Fund. From the 1930s onwards, Weitz had played a major role in acquiring land for the Yishuv, the Jewish community in Palestine. The first unofficial committee was composed of Weitz, Ezra Denin, head of the Arab section of the Shai, the intelligence arm of the Haganah, and Elijah Sassoon. The Sassoon family is very interesting, head of the Middle Eastern Affairs Department of the Foreign Ministry. Denin told Weitz that to prevent the return of the refugees who had already left, they must be confronted with a fate accomplished. He proposed the destruction of Arab homes, settling Jewish immigrants in evacuated areas, and expropriating Arab property. Expropriating Arab property. Sorry, I just had a brain fart on how to say that there. My apologies. I knew how to say it, but I had to say it in my head first. You know what I mean? I had that issue. And it goes on. You can read this part for yourself. In fact, I'll read you a bit of it. So on June 5th, Weitz approached Ben-Gurion with a 3-page proposal that involved preventing the Arabs from returning, helping them to be absorbed into other Arab countries, Okay, that's important for another video I'm going to do, exposing how the Jews now want money from these so-called Arab countries that they supposedly claim to have been, expelled from. Yeah, right. Destroying villages as much as possible during military operations, and they succeeded in all that. Preventing Arabs from cultivating land, selling Jews in empty villages and towns so that no vacuum would be created. Isn't that what they did in, Ukraine, and to bring about these famines in order to drive the people off their land? Enacting legislation to prevent the return of refugees and creating propaganda aimed at non-return. Yeah, they're good at that. Okay, so destruction of villages. Regardless of the committee's ambiguous status, whites proceeded to arrange the destruction of several villages in 1948. And I'm not going to read you them all, you can read them for yourself. Morris writes that whites' agents toured the countryside to determine which villages should be destroyed and which preserved for Jewish settlement. Okay? Now check this out. Okay, so any Arab who had not registered as of November 1948 was regarded as illegal and if caught, deported. An American Quaker relief worker with the American Friends Service Committee described a raid on Tarshia on January 15, 1949, which was a Jewish occupied area that was Palestinian at one point. All males over 16 were questioned by a panel of 8 Israelis. 33, you love that number, right? Heads of families and 101 family members aged 1 year to 79 years was selected for deportation. They were robbed and expelled via Era and to Jenin. A UN observer to Jenin reported that their homes were being repopulated by large numbers of Jewish refugees from Austria. Yeah. Let that sink in. These are so-called Holocaust survivors stealing Palestinian land. In December 1949, the Israeli foreign minister blocked an IDF plan to clear Tarshia and 5 other villages along the Lebanon border of their remaining Arab populations in order to create a 5 to 10 kilometers, 3 to 6 miles, Arab-free zone. Does that remind you of Judenfrei, folks? What are the odds that these parasites would implement the exact same laws that they claim were implemented against them? You want to know the answer to that? It's because they were behind what was taking place during World War II. And they were the one doing the expelling, not the expellees. Wake up, folks. Wake the fuck up.